All right, everybody. Good day. Welcome to another Ask Philip thread. This is where you get your specific answers questioned. Yes, I'm going to question your answers. You're going to answer my questions. No, this is where you get your questions answered every week live on Friday. You have up till Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern to post your questions and I'll answer them here. So this is for things where you might feel stuck and you're looking for an answer or guide or resource or specific direction on how to go, and you haven't gotten the answer elsewhere, or you haven't been able to get it through a group post, for example, this is the place to do it. So today we are going to be answering two questions. Before I do, just some quick announcements. First, I'm going to go ahead and unpin the last week's Ask Philip because it will be replaced by this. And I'm going to review the rest of the announcements here. So the only other thing I wanted to mention is I had pre-recorded, well, I always pre-record my podcast episodes, but I broadcast it live in the group last week, the episode that's coming up next Tuesday on the perfect meal plan. So check that out. I'll keep it pinned up here. You can watch it early if you want. If you're a loyal follower of the podcast, you just want to get it in your podcast app when it comes out. Awesome. Definitely share it with other people. Tell them to follow the show if they want to get lots of great information on nutrition training and so on. And I'll leave it at that. Also, for our Shredtober participants, we are done with the first 4-day phase, and today's a refeed day. The next 4-day phase starts tomorrow, and of course, the whole thing is 14 days long. For those of you who are not in it, you are welcome to join in the middle of it just to follow along and get in the group chat. I have a ton of free resources that I've dropped already. Folks who are in Shredtober could chime in or comment below this post if they want to share what they've learned. But part of me putting these posts in the group is so others who are not in the challenge can also get an idea of what's being learned. And one cool thing that's come out of it is I've created something new on the Wits and Weights website. So if you go to the witsandweights.com and you click on free stuff at the top, okay, free stuff at the top, I've created a page for free guides and downloads that I will be adding to in the near future. I just added one so far, and it was the Rapid Fat Loss Guide. This is actually developed from the challenge being run right now. So it has all of the protocol details, what to do, how to set up Macrofactor, how to hold on to muscle, how to lose fat, some nutrition strategies, some macro tables in there. You've got a checklist to follow, a whole bunch of cool things. Of course, there's a lot you're not getting by not being in the challenge. So if you missed out on it, you can still join the group right now, the private chat, and I'll send that over to you. Just comment below this video, or DM me in Facebook, and I will get you in that right away so that you'll at least be in the group. But if you go into this page and you click download, you can then download that guide. And I'm going to have many more to come. So if there's specific guides that you are looking for, let me know what they are. There's a ton of free stuff I've made and shared over the years. And I'm going to go back and figure out which ones are the best of the best that people ask for all the time. And I'm going to add them to this page. And I might include references to this in podcast episodes and so on. So again, witsandweights.com/free. Or just click on free stuff. Okay, so that's our announcements for today. We're going to jump into the thread, Ask Philip thread. And if you are not familiar with this feature, I want you to go to the homepage of the group, and I want you to go to the pinned. I want you to go to guides. Forgive me. I want you to go to guides and go to start here. How to use this community and the Ask Philip weekly Q&A. That'll tell you exactly what you need to know. They're very short videos, and that'll get you on the right foot. Okay. So those of you taking advantage of it this week, we have Dennis and Bev. Alan chimed in for Dennis as well, but we're going to start with Dennis's, which I already answered here, and I'm just going to sort of summarize. His question was, I love eggs. Who doesn't, right? And I know some people might not, and some people might not be able to eat them, and some people may not choose to eat them, but I love them. We have how many chickens now? We have 12 chickens, and that includes one rooster. So 11 chickens laying about 7 to 10 eggs every single day. Big, giant, nutritious, orange yolked eggs. Almost too many that we can even do with. And I might start separating out the yolk for the whites, but I hate to do that unless I can use the yolk. You know how it goes. So got all those eggs. Why buy the carton of egg whites when I can do that? Anyway, I love eggs, nutritious and protein filled, but they come with saturated fat. How do I balance my morning egg habit while avoiding increasing this micronutrient? So you have an interesting question here. There's a couple things here. my morning egg habit. So you love eggs and you realize that they are aligned with your goals for multiple reasons, I'm sure, including protein, but even the dietary fat and cholesterol and they're highly nutritious. And you probably like the taste of them. They're filling. So many great things about eggs. Very simply, you can add egg whites to your eggs. You can either do them from eggs themselves, and I know eggs are expensive these days, but you can separate out the yolks, maybe reserve the yolk and use them in a baked recipe. I think, for example, flan, I think, uses a lot of egg yolks. Delicious dessert, very sugary, I know, but just throwing that out there. And then, or you can buy a carton of egg whites and then just add some ratio of whole eggs to egg whites where it still tastes like eggs, but a lot more protein, because egg whites are pretty tasteless. I'm not saying they're bad. They just don't have much taste. You can use them in shakes, for example, for that reason, because they don't really add taste to it. So that's what I would do, and play around in MacroFactor if you want to see what the ratios would make sense for you. Alan actually chimed in with his example, and he showed a screenshot here of if you combine, say, 16 ounces of liquid egg whites and 6 eggs, it's 600 calories, 85 grams protein, 24 grams of fat. So a nice ratio. You're still going to have, some fat, but this is also a lot of protein. So work with the ratio that makes sense for you. And then the other thing I talked about was the fact that you were concerned about saturated fat. Now, I love that, because macro and micro targets are a positive way to think about aligning with the goals that we want, rather than thinking of what foods are good and bad, which is totally not the way I do things. We think about how do we have some room and flexibility in our plan to enjoy the things we want to reach our goals. And our goals include lifelong health, include avoiding cardiovascular disease and calcium in our arteries and so on. And so we know that saturated fat is so closely associated with an increase in cardiovascular risk above a certain threshold that we could almost infer that it is causal, right? I mean, that's the general consensus in the evidence right now. So it is a great idea to just say, hey, I'm going to enjoy saturated fat from real food, and I'm going to just track it and make sure that it's in the realm of what I want. My recommendation, and that of the evidence, is no more than 10% of your total calories, or put another way, no more than a third of your total fat. And I ran through a bunch of numbers here. I'm not going to repeat it on this video. You guys can read this for yourself while I'm talking here. But if you're just getting most of your saturated fat from real whole foods, you're probably fine. That's the general idea. You're probably fine. If you are adding a bunch of saturated fat in that comes from processed foods, or you're like adding a ton of butter to foods or coconut oil or whatever with saturated fat, then you may be, I'm losing my train of thought, then you may be artificially increasing the amount of saturated fat versus what you would have with just eating whole foods. So tracking could be helpful to get that feedback and awareness. Okay. All right. So let's go to the second question today. Can you talk about water? I have to force myself to get 3 cups a day. Okay. Now, I'm sorry to hear that, Bev, because I never want people to force themselves to choke something down, to say that they have to do something, to use willpower, all of that stuff, because it triggers the red flags of behavior change in my mind, where we, instead of forcing ourselves, want to decide, how do we plan ahead and structure our day so we're choosing to do these things, and we're choosing to do them because they serve us. So you said I have no issues drinking 4 skim milk 8-ounce lattes. All right. Now, 8 ounce, 4, that's a decent amount of caffeine. So I don't know if they're all caffeinated, or you could do some decaf in there, but just, I have a separate discussion about caffeine I won't go into here. I'm rehabbing. I'm in the gym 6 days a week for 4 hours. I hope you mean 4 hours total for the week, right? I lift heavy 2 times per week with a coach. The rest of my workouts are CrossFit based. Okay. So you've got a very glycolytic, high glycogen load mode of training. I mean, lifting requires energy and hydration, as well as the CrossFit type workouts. First thing I'm going to say is add up everything that has fluid, even if it has caffeine. I know that sounds weird, because people talk about caffeine as like what do you call it? A diuretic, a source of dehydration. Alcohol definitely is like that. Caffeine, there's kind of, it's not as much as you would think. Like, if you drink kind of a regular coffee, you're still going to get a lot of water. You're still going to get some hydration there. So I would add up everything like that. Coffee, diet soda, tea, water, milk, they do have fluid. Fruit has fluid. And try to get close to the ballpark of the following number. I'm going to add it right here. A good target is half of your body weight plus 15 ounces. So if you weigh, let's say 150 pounds, that's 75 plus 15, right? Which equals 90 ounces. So about 3/4 gallon per day. All right. So there you go. If all the fluids you have are above that right now, even with the milk and coffee and everything, you're probably fine. If they fall short, that's where you want to add in a little bit of water, but it's sipping it throughout the day or having a water bottle or having reminders to do that. I'm guessing you're probably fine with all these other sources of liquid, to be honest, but do the math and check out where you are and let me know below this video if you still feel like you're struggling with this. What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, and because you're doing CrossFit and everything else, I would also focus on electrolytes. So also include electrolytes, fruit like banana and or lemon juice plus salt in water and or powdered electrolytes several times per day, especially before or after workouts. Okay. And then I think you'll be fine, Bev. So let me know if that helped. That's it for Ask Philip today. Trying to keep it a little bit short, and I'll see you next time. Please take advantage of this service. Throw your questions in for next week and have an awesome weekend.